reporter covering the Philadelphia Eagles. Joining us now on the JAKIB postgame show, Johnny Mack here. John, welcome to the show, my man. How you doing?
Hey, how you doing, guys? NFC East champions. Boy, that was a beatdown. That was a beatdown with two backup quarterbacks, which tells you where Dallas is. So from that perspective, but no, it was certainly an impressive performance by the Eagles and took care of business, and that's what was in front of them, and they mowed them down. I think, if you look at that first game, I think was 34-6.
Yep.
So here we go. 40. I mean, this is, I don't know.
75-13, John, in two games versus the Cowboys.
I don't know if Jerry Jones is going to be able to sustain this. So, but really impressive performance. And they were able to get Saquon Barkley 2,000 yards, which I don't know. How was everybody feeling about that? Because I'm like, boy, that's a season high in carries, and they're trying to get him to that level. And it's great history and all that kind of stuff. But as Nick kind of said, that's a delicate balancing act when you talk about the future of this team and the goals of this team. But they got out of it, and Saquon's healthy.
How about this, John? He's only had 293 carries. That was 3 years ago, I believe. He's at 340 carries right now with a game remaining, and he's 101 behind now, determining on what happens tonight with Minnesota and Monday, like we said in the pregame show, with Detroit, home field advantage. I mean, we'll know a little more on what they're going to have to do. But, I'm assuming, John, that they're going to at least try to get him that number because he's pretty close to it. He's 101, and he's been averaging over 112, 113 yards a game this year. So I'm assuming they're going to get him an opportunity to at least try to get that 2105.
Yeah, I think they will. If the number one seed is still in the offing. So we have to see, as you mentioned, Minnesota's up early. They just scored. Detroit's playing on Monday night. If there is no path, I don't think he's playing. I think that's why they got to 2,000 yards. That was the goal today, and it was a goal. Make no mistake about it. Talk to everybody afterwards. They wanted to hit that 2,000 mark today. So if it doesn't work out where they have an opportunity, I do think they're going to sit them next week. And I think Saquon understands, and that's why it meant so much to go over 2,000 yards today.
How about this, Xander? I want to put this in your head, Xander. I'm not sure, John. Please remind me, even though I played during that time, I don't remember if we had a bye back in the day like that. I don't know if we did, but I know it was in 16 ball games, Xander. And Eric Dickerson in 1984-85 went for 2105, and I don't believe there was a bye during the NFL during that time back in the day. And this guy played 16 consecutive weeks, and he played one game less, just to show you how incredible that season was. And let's not forget something, John. The year before that, he went for 1880. So, I mean, his first year in the league, he went for 1880. And the second year, he went for 2105. I don't remember, John, if there was a bye, because I was in the league then. I don't remember if we had one.
No, there was not. The bye week did not come in that early. So it was 16 consecutive weeks. There's a lot of things. Eric did it in 16. O.J. Simpson did it in 14 games. So,
he did 2103, actually, what Barkley has.
Yeah, that was the best running season in NFL history, but the NFL wants you to forget that, I think.
For obvious reasons. Yeah. But only, no matter what, 14, 16, 17.
Oh, yes.
Only 9 people in the history of this game have done it. You can make an argument the other direction. Saquon, if he does it, he'll actually do it in less carries than Eric Dickerson did. So you could look at it from that perspective. But the game has changed. And what Eric Dickerson really did was impressive. What Saquon Barkley's doing is incredibly impressive. What O.J. Simpson did was impressive. And everybody's gone over 2,000 yards. Adrian Peterson, Chris Johnson, guys like that. More recently, it's always a phenomenal season. And that's what Saquon's been able to accomplish. So, if he does break the record, people may bring that up for a few years, but they'll forget about it. And they'll say Saquon Barkley's the all-time leading rusher in NFL history, and it'll recede just like everybody talks about Eric Dickerson today. and doesn't talk about O.J. Simpson. Now, there are other reasons, but even before that, no one talked about 14 versus 16. No one talks about, for many years, they made a movie in baseball, asterisk 61. For many years, people forget about it now. So it'll recede into history. Bottom line is, if you run for 2,000 yards in this league, you had a really freaking good year.
Absolutely.
John, talking about those backup quarterbacks today, Kenny Pickett and Tanner McKee. I thought both of them looked pretty good. And John, many are calling for you to eat some crow on Tanner McKee. John, how did that happen?
Oh, wow. Is that the case?
That is prominent in the chat today, John. Yes, it is.
Hey, John, they rolled out a JV practice squad team against the Eagles in the secondary.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Kenny Pickett played pretty well in that second quarter. I mean, Kenny Pickett had him winning the game when he left, and he aggravated his ribs. But, Tanner McKee's able to, throw the back shoulder touchdown. It was funny because A.J. Brown had the best arm of anybody in this game. He threw that ball so far into the stands, and he forgot it was Tanner McKee's first touchdown. But you should have seen this throw that AJ made celebrating. So they were able to get the ball back, and congratulations to Tanner McKee. But yeah, I mean, come on, guys. If that's what you're talking about, come on. You don't think Kenny Pickett played well?
I thought he played
after the first couple drives. I'll tell you what, Kenny Pickett was a hell of a lot better than Cooper Rush as a backup quarterback.
John, I'll make this point to you too. I thought Kenny Pickett got the football out of his hands quicker than anything I've seen all year. And for the first time, albeit, you had a second and third team guy. And I know it was the Cowboys, but these are the second and third team quarterbacks. Personally, I thought that was the more balanced football game that I've seen the Eagles play. One of the top games I've seen.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought I was going to get when Xander said that. I'm like, because I'd said on Birds 365 during the week, if they do have a good game offensively, you're going to hear about it because it's going to look different. It's going to be on-time throws. It's going to be throws with anticipation. It's going to get the ball out in time of that happen. But yeah, it's weird because Kenny Pickett is from Ocean Township, New Jersey, grew up an Eagles fan. And I don't know, no Eagles fans like him. It's weird to me. It's weird. He's never played. He's only had success when he's played. Played pretty well last week. Played pretty well this week. I don't know what the kerfuffle is about Kenny Pickett.
Well hey, John, just to be fair, I mean, people from New Jersey are assholes, I think. I don't know. That's kind of what people are talking to a guy from New Jersey.
Yeah, I'm from Jersey, so it's true because people think I'm an asshole. Yeah, people think I'm an asshole, but maybe that's why. I don't know, but usually if you're an Eagles fan, and Kenny was a legitimate Eagles fan growing up, normally that buys you some dispensation. Where if you're Donnell Pumphrey and you're wearing your LA Dodgers gear everywhere you go, you get shit upon. That's the nature of Philadelphia because you got to be 4 for 4, no matter where you were born or grew up or liked or that kind of nonsense. But Kenny Pickett's one of you guys.
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm like, I don't get it either. I think that just goes with the territory there, man. But hey, John, because he's banged up, determining on what happens tonight here in this Minnesota and on Monday night, do you sit Hurts? Do you put him in there with Barkley to help him if there is a need to play that game against the Giants? And by the way, I said it would be poetic justice that he would break that record versus the New York Giants with John Mara sitting in the owner's box watching him break that record. I mean, do you play Hurts to help him? Because as you said, he's +1 in the run game, which would make it a little easier for him to break that record.
Yeah, I mean, if they have to play, I think Jalen's going to play. I mean, he's going to pass the protocol. So if they have to play, if they have to win the game, and the number 1 seed is on the line, Jalen Hurts is going to play. It's not a matter of doing it for Saquon Barkley if they just have to win the game. So he's going to pass the protocol and he's going to be fine. He's going to play. The only way he's not going to play is if it doesn't mean anything. And that's everybody, including, I believe, Saquon Barkley. Now, a little bit complicated, as you said, because it is a very historic record. The offensive line is pushing for this as well. They want it. Sometimes I think they want it more than Saquon wants it, to be honest. So they'll probably be lobbying. And we saw, early in the season, if you think about at the bye week and Lane Johnson and everybody lobbying to go to a more run sort of centric offense, that was Lane and Jordan. So they've had some success lobbying Nick Sirianni before. But I don't know, man. I'm like, all it takes is one injury, and this team is going to get killed. It doesn't have to be Saquon Barkley. It could be Lane Johnson. It could be Jordan Mailata. It could be Landon Dickerson. It could be Mekhi Becton. It could be Cam Jurgens. If you're playing everybody just to get a record, is that a good thing to do? I'll leave that up to everybody else. I mean, my answer is obvious. I wouldn't even consider it, but everybody's a little bit different.
How about this, John? Let me ask you this here for the assistants. Could you imagine if Jeff Stoutland has an offensive line that breaks the 2105, the number one rushing attack, and you have one of the top-rated offenses in football, and then you turn around on the other side, and you have another historic situation where Vic Fangio has the number one ranked defense for the first time in his career. That's quite a year compared to what you were looking at a year ago, where you have two assistants with all-time numbers of having the single-season rushing mark, and your defensive coordinator has the number one defense in pro football. I'll tell you, that goes back to Andy Reid assistant coaches, what we're talking about, or maybe even the 17 assistant coaches that helped win that Super Bowl. That'd be pretty iconic if you were able to do something like that. Plus, of course, capping it off with a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the goal. And, a lot of hurdles. I mean, I talk about Kansas City. Nobody seems to talk about Kansas City. I mean, that team is just peaking at the exact right time. They have a championship pedigree. So I have to consider them the favorites until somebody knocks them off. Baltimore, Lamar Jackson's making another run. We talk about it. He's already won 2 MVPs. This is his best year statistically. Detroit has been able to persevere. Minnesota, for whatever people say about them, they're 13-2. I mean, they're doing something right. And we'll see if they're able to win this game that's going on right now. So there's a lot of teams that could be in the mix, that could knock the Eagles off. But I also say the same thing about the Eagles. The Eagles, if they play well, if they do things correctly, they can certainly beat anybody when they're playing at their highest level. But we know how quickly things turn when it comes to attrition. And it only takes one game. And to think about that, you only have to go back to last year. A.J. Brown getting hurt in week 18. Completely different team that showed up in Tampa for the playoffs. Now, obviously, people say, well, the Eagles were in the midst of a collapse, and they certainly were. But I think they would have looked a lot different if A.J. Brown was on the field. So that's how quickly things can turn from an attrition standpoint. And if you have nothing to play for in week 18, then don't play. If you do have something to play for, play. And by not play, you know what I mean. I mean, sit most of your – obviously the guys are out there going to fight, and they should be able to beat the New York Giants anyway, to be honest. But, you got to rest your really, really key players.
John, you talking about the New York Giants that dropped 45 today on the Colts? Come on, Johnny Mac.
Yeah. Well, good for them. Well, maybe not good for them because that's a New York. Did they lose the number one pick in the draft?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know why. Even when the Giants win, they still lose. I think it was the great Joe Whipp who said that in the chat. Even when they win, they lose.
Yeah. So I think they would rather have the number 1 pick in the draft and the decision for the best quarterback versus Drew Lock, who's not even going to be there, have the best game of his life. I don't know. They would probably trade that.
Hey, John, he is 1-0 versus Philly. He does have a win from a year
That's true.
ago.
He beat him with Seattle. Yeah, he beat him with Seattle, and that's he had a 155.3 passer rating today. Drew Lock. I think Tanner was at 156.2, but Tanner only had 4 throws, so that factors.
John, talking about that defense.
Hey, John, again, like I said, that's how the offense was supposed to. Don't you think, John, that's how they envisioned the offense to look on a week-to-week basis, was what we saw today? Isn't that what they were looking for it to be, where they were as balanced? And again, the numbers again.
No, I know, because, they know Jalen Hurts is a unique player. What they were looking for is an evolution of the offense and to add more of that in. But look, if you have Kenny Pickett playing or Tanner McKee playing, Kellen Moore's going to build a different game plan than if he has Jalen Hurts playing. But, the Eagles are a better team when Jalen Hurts is on the field. I hope nobody's going to argue that. It may not look as aesthetic at times. It may not look as pretty as times, but they're a better football team. So I don't think they have a problem with it not looking the way certain people want it to look, with the anticipatory throws on time, that kind of stuff, because, the off schedule stuff is very important when Jalen Hurts is on the field. So, but I do think it's fair to say they hope the evolution would have been greater this year than it was. And that's what they were working on. They were working on that, obviously against Pittsburgh. They plan to work on it against Washington. And as everybody said, you got to fix it while you still have time to fix it. And unfortunately, he got hurt. So they didn't really have that extra time to fix it.
Yeah, it will be interesting. I'm sure there will be people out there talking about it, John. We haven't put up a 40 burger all year, and you did it today without Jalen. So the chatter will be out there.
Oh boy.
John.
Yeah, who you also did it with against the Dallas Cowboys. Give up, I think. So, people pretend that the opposition doesn't exist. Does everybody think that was a great team out there trying to stop Tanner McKee down the stretch? They had given up. I thought they took the bus. I thought half the team took the bus out of the link, to be honest. They'd given up. And rightfully so. They got destroyed.
John, talking about the defense, they're coming off their worst game last week when they had 5 turnovers, which is crazy to say, but they had another 4 turnovers today. John, that's 9 turnovers in 2 games. That's pretty insane. What'd you see from the defense today, Johnny Mac?
Yeah, I mean, those things and they had 4 the first time they played the Cowboys. They had 4 turnovers. So that's a part of it as well. Everybody, Dan knows, he used to play defense. Those things tend to come in waves. And once it comes, you start thinking about it. Again, Cooper Rush is out there. I don't know if anybody saw the pick 6 to C.J. Gardner-Johnson, but I know Cooper Rush didn't see C.J. Gardner-Johnson because he threw it right to him. Then the other interception to C.J. was just a moon ball that he overthrew by 10 yards. I don't know what he was trying to do there. Then you had the 2 forced fumbles. Oren Burks got one of them. I believe Nolan Smith had the other. So, yeah, they're turning it over, and they scored a lot of points off turnovers. So they could, if you think about halftime, when they scored at the end of halftime, they had a walk-off sort of walk-off halftime tush-push touchdown to make it 24-7. The game was over right then and there. And of those 24 points, they scored 17 of them off turnovers. So, yeah, the defense deserves a lot of credit. But again, not the best bow out there. Let's be honest about that as well.
How about this, John? It just shows you once again the coaching, too. I mean, the leading tackler for the Eagles today was Oren Burks. I mean, Vic.
Some of those early were 8 yards down the field.
I get it though, John, but he was functional in that game. I mean, we're talking
Yeah, he
about
made a play.
he's functional.
It was interesting. I don't think he played well the first 2 series. Dallas was moving the ball. And all of a sudden they put Trotter out there. And we're thinking, oh man, did they bench Oren Burks that quickly? Because he was getting beat up a little bit. And evidently it was just the plan. They wanted to get both some work. And then Oren came back. When Oren came back in, the first play was when he had the fumble, the strip. So that was their plan. But he's a veteran guy. He's been playing for a long time. He came into the Super Bowl last year when Drake Greenlaw got
That's
hurt.
right.
So he's played, he was on Green Bay for years. He's played playoff football there. So he's done a lot of things for a lot of years. He's a good backup linebacker in this league. But yeah, they missed Nakobe Dean, especially early in the game. As I said, what Dallas gave up, it's not that big of a deal. But early in the game, Dallas was moving the football pretty effective. And you could see they missed Nakobe really, really badly. They need him back because even though it's nice to have a veteran guy who's not going to be overwhelmed by the moment, there's a significant difference between Nakobe Dean and Oren Burks.
John, what's your feeling on the length of time for Dean being out? I mean, did they give you any indication that what?
No, Nick never gives us any indication because he's hyper focused on competitive advantage. But all I can say is Nakobe, I saw him. He was on the field before the game. I don't think it's serious. He was practicing during the week. He was trying to make it, so I think it was close. So I don't think it's going to be a long-term thing. They certainly wouldn't have let him down the field on the field if they thought it was serious. So he should be fine. And again, the goal is not next week. The goal is to get him ready for the playoffs.
Good stuff, Johnny Mac. Any other takeaways from this game, John? You just destroyed the Dallas Cowboys today. I feel good about that, if nothing else. 41-7, Johnny Mac. They had no chance.
No, I thought they came out and they were playing hard, and as I said, they moved the football pretty well. And on the first drive, I mean, they were moving the football, and all of a sudden Cooper Rush makes the big mistake. Throws the football right to C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Didn't even see him, it looked like. So, I mean, that makes it really difficult when you turn the football over. And then once the second interception and the Eagles were able to go right down the field and finish it off, again, that would have been an issue had they not gotten that tush-push touchdown, because I don't think Nick Sirianni handled that time management well at the end of the first half. But they were able to get in, so nobody's going to talk about it. But I don't think that was handled well because remember, the clock was going to run out. The clock did run out on that play. So if they don't get in, there's no timeout, there's no field goal, there's no other chance. Nick would have gotten a lot, for mishandling the end of the half. But when you win 41-7, that stuff's a footnote.
Johnny Mac, good stuff, man. We appreciate you joining in today on the JAKIB postgame show. We'll talk to you in the morning on Birds 365. All right, man. Get out of there safely and good stuff today.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
Good stuff from Johnny Mac joining us here on the JAKIB postgame show. Enjoyed talking with him about that game. Where are you? We're we're about an hour 27 into the show. Where's the Big Sills brain so I have a preview of tomorrow's 2 to 6 National Football show?
Man, I'll tell you, look at how that offense looks when you have a competent passer behind center. That thing looks great. Can you imagine Barkley running the ball like that and throwing the ball in leading receivers and a competent pocket passer? Holy cow, that thing looked absolutely awesome. And by the way, these guys are bums. These guys are cast-offs. These guys are streetwalkers. These guys should be playing in the UFL or the Canadian Football League. And they put a 40-burger up on the Dallas Cowboys. Man, made me not think that Jalen Hurts even played on that football team, because that's all I heard from people like Seth Joyner. Now you see the importance of Jalen Hurts. I didn't see it today. I didn't see the importance of that quarterback not being out there. And I say this, Xander, in all seriousness, it truly is a testament to the roster.
It is. It is. It is. Howie Roseman's feeling good right now. Trust me.
Yes.
Yeah.
He is. By the way, like I said, dude, Orenberg, people are going to go like this. Sills, you don't really think he was good. No, but I didn't think it was a nosedive off from the Kobe where you had a guy that was completely incompetent in there. Where, Xander, last year, did we not see incompetent linebacker play?
Completely incompetent.
Okay, well, that wasn't on display today.
Yeah. Nakobe Dean's been really good. You saw that for sure today. And Zach Bone, obviously another. Are you feeling a little salty that we beat the Cowboys 75-13 this year?
Hey, the Cowboys deserve this. They absolutely deserve this, because the Dallas Cowboys are more worried about the star on the hat than they are about winning football games.
That's beating Stills.
Hey, no, you know why I have said this for 30 years about the Cowboys. You know what it is? Hey, Jerry, you've never replaced Jimmy Johnson. That's the most evident thing that's been on the planet. You think you're the best builder of a Super Bowl? Well, guess what? You haven't built one. Who's the one guy he hasn't replaced? Jimmy.
Yep.
And the story.
Completely true. We'll read a few more super chat, Sills, and we'll let you get out of here. Give your final thoughts here. NJ Fishing checked in. He said, imagine Saquon breaking the record against the Giants. Come on, man. You have to play him.
Oh, my God, man. You get to do that at Lincoln Financial with John
I'm
Barrett
a little torn on this. I'm not going to lie.
in the box. I want him to do it.
Yeah, but this is what John always says, man, on Birds 365, and I think he's right. He's like, that's what 9 and 8 teams do. That's what 7 and 10 teams do. They care about vanity metrics, you know?
That's not that. Dude, you know what the NFL player cares about? Making history. Not just winning Super Bowls. It is about that. It's about being historic. Don't you?
But doesn't that mindset sometimes not coincide with the champion's mindset of I'm focused on one goal? Winning the Super Bowl.
Wait a minute. Fuck that. I want it all.
I'm not saying that's the thing. I'm putting it out there as a kind of a devil's advocate, the other side.
Xander, I'll give you a little Papa Bear kind of conversation here to you. When I'm sitting on the top of the mountain here and I see all the girls down there and I see all the pretty girls, I don't want one. I want them all. I want it all, dude. Okay? I want it all. I mean, I want the records. I want the notoriety. I want the championships. I want all of it. Okay? And, dude, can you imagine, like I said, Vic Fangio with the number 1 defense and Jeff Stoutland with the all-time single-season rushing mark? Huss, those guys are going to Pro Football Hall of Fame if they win the Super Bowl.
A couple more supers here. Brian Pumper says, Johnny Mac, eat your words on Saquon and my savior, Tan the God. Jalen Knights thought they was special. Tanner Manning is that dude. You got to be
Tanner Manning. Holy cow.
I like Tanner McKee. I do. You know what? You know what I'll say about Tanner McKee?
Manning out there.
You know what I'll say about Tanner McKee? I do not think he's a career backup. I think if it's not in Philly, I do think he will start somewhere eventually. I think he has that type of potential.
Think he gets an opportunity when he becomes a free agent to go somewhere.
Yeah, it's hard to when you're a 3, right? Like if you're a 2, maybe someone gives you he's a 3. So he is.
How do you know they're not hiding him on the bench?
I know.
Putting Pickett in there because I'll tell you what, man. Hey, if you're going to give a kid an opportunity, I know who Pickett is. I don't know who this guy is. Hey, remember who was a 13 quarterback at one time? Tom Brady.
It's true. Rob checks in. What's up, Rob? Appreciate you, brother. Simply put, the Eagles win with Hurts, not because of him. They would be unstoppable with a prolific passer like Burrow, Allen, Herbert.
Oh, my God. Can you imagine Joe Burrow in this offense? He'd put up 600 yards a game in this thing. And you'd go 3 years without losing a regular season game if you had a guy like Joe Burrow. How you doing?
I do. I would be lying if I said I didn't. I don't wonder what it would look like. All right. Tanner is QB1. Johnny Mac eats shorts. Motherfucker can actually throw a football and read a defense. Jalen needs to work on putting the fries in the bag. Oh my God.
Oh my God. Are you saying he is a guy who puts at the drive up the Big Mac, the Happy Meal, and the fries? Pumper? Holy cow. What Pumper, like a mailman, right? How you doing?
You gotta be kidding me, man. All right, a couple more super chats and we'll let Sills go. John says, I told you they was just waiting to unleash the McKee train.
5 attempts. I even have to
Guys,
go with Xander.
Okay, wait a second. Listen, it was fun. Okay, I love Tanner McKee. Great story. Great guy. 6 foot. He threw 4 fucking passes today, guy.
Really?
He threw 4 passes. All right, let's take a deep breath. All right, threw 4 passes.
Pickett played really well for a backup. I mean, look, dude.
That one,
you
know, you know what I thought Pickett's best throw of the day was the touchdown to A.J. Brown that got wiped off the board.
Oh, my God.
He was scrambling out. That was when he got hit by Micah.
He did that on the throw.
Yeah, that was a good throw, man. That was a really good throw.
Did he roll left in that one?
No, he was rolling right.
Oh, he rolled right. Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say it'd be the first time in about 4 years I saw a guy roll left. I was just keeping score here.
Look at this. 4 perfect, glorious passes.
That's so true.
You can tell these people are Silio listeners, can't you? By the way they comment.
Yeah. Floor glory.
Brian Pupper, 4 beautiful passes, Xander. All right, everybody. It's 4 fucking passes. Keep the main read, Jalen. You gotta be kidding me, man.
Hey, that's the super of the day right there. Keep the main read. That's awesome.
All right, Stills, your final thoughts on this game, man. 41-7, an ass beating. Eagles over Cowboys. What's your final thoughts before I let you go, brother?
Team's a little banged up right now. And how important is that bye going to be if they create their own bye and what happens with Minnesota tonight and Detroit? Do you play your starters in the first half to get him that record? How important is that going to be for them if that game doesn't matter going into New York? Yeah. Personally, Xander, if he doesn't get that record by halftime, I'm not playing him in the second half, and I don't care if he's 60, 70 yards shy. I'm not playing him just to get that. I'll play you maybe a quarter and a half to see him. By the way, wouldn't you want to get some rhythm also with Jalen having missed basically a week and a half of football so that he feels good going in to that wild card game? Because if everything plays out right now, the Eagles are going to be in the 3 hole with the 2nd seed. That means this: either Minnesota or Detroit are going to win home field, and you're no worse than the 2nd seed. Everything falls right, you're 1, okay? And then with the potential of doing this too, let's not forget, Minnesota or Detroit gets upset in the playoffs, you could still be hosting the NFC Championship game at Lincoln Financial. So, a lot to be told. I'll tell you what, this is a big week coming up here on seeing what happens, especially after Monday night.
I just got a message, and I can't confirm this yet, but I got a message that Kenny Pickett has broken ribs. Now, I'm not sure. I will try and confirm that, but we will see if Kenny Pickett, he could be out of the game. You'll see maybe a whole game of Tanner McKee maybe next week.
Holy cow, man. Tanner Manning. I like it, Pumper. Tanner Manning gets a full week of practice.
Pumper, what the hell did you do to me? I'm going to be dealing with this shit all week long now. So, great show, man. I'm going to let you go. 2 to 6 tomorrow, National Football Show. It's going to be a great one. We appreciate you doing it today, my friend, and we will talk to you tomorrow on the National Football Show.
God bless everybody. I appreciate you guys in here. Please hit that like button. Xander, we'll see you tomorrow at 3:30 Eastern time on the National Football Show. Guys, thank you so much. And a great win for the Philadelphia Eagles. And man, that passing game was awesome. I'll see you tomorrow, 2 to 6.
Later, Sills. God bless you, brother. Good stuff from Big Sills here on the JAKIB postgame show. I knew he was going to have fun with this one. Listen, everybody, it's great talking with John and Sills here on the postgame show. I'm going to update everybody. We will stick around. I will bring on some great people from JAKIB Nation. I'll send out the link, and you guys will be free to join the show. Here's the caveat, by the way, new caveat for those who join. JAKIB members will have first priority. So if you join the show and you're not a member, you're going to get pushed to the back of the line, all right? And if you're a member, you're coming on in, and I'll put you to the front of the line based on who joins first. So looking forward to talking to all you guys. I am feeling good, though, everybody. I mean, look, when you sweep the Cowboys and you win 75-13 across 2 games, it's safe to say you feel pretty good. You feel pretty good as an Eagle fan. So some questions here late in the year, but overall, that's a big win for the team, and they're now clinched the minimum 2 seed. So minimum 2 seed. We're sitting pretty for the Eagles. I think we're going to get the Commanders in the round 1 of the playoffs because I don't think we're getting the 1 seed. I know people still want it, but I just don't see the Cowboys or the Lions losing tomorrow to the Niners. I don't see that. Anything is possible, but the Niners, I think, are out, and they're not playing hard, and so I'm kind of focused in on. I think we're going to be the 2 seed. What do our matchups look like? But we will do all that. I'll read a couple super chats here, then I'll get to a commercial break. Then I'll bring on some people from JAKIB Nation, and we will do the same thing, short and concise, guys. 3 to 4 minutes for each of you, and I'll try and roll through as many of you as I can. All right. Let me read a couple super chats here. That I missed. Clary Void checks in. Hurts plays Sill's hair wet and slicked back. Reminds me of Ace Ventura in the shower when he realized he kissed a man. Hurts lives rent-free with Sills. That's a scathing chat there. Brian Pumper says, no one is a match for the Tannersaurus Rex. Jalen Hurts, step aside. We got a real quarterback. Holy shit. Sig Lord says, is Hurts the 3rd best passer on the Eagles roster? Passer? No, I think he's a better passer than Pickett. I think he's a better passer than McKee, too. I've seen 4 passes, Sig Lord. What are we talking about here? McKee might have potential, but come on, man. We got to keep a spade. What have we seen? All right? What have we seen? We've seen 4 passes. They were good passes. They look good, but you can't make a judgment like that on 4 passes. Khaled says, this is going to be poetic for Barkley to break the record against the Giants, Eagles. Eagles. Good stuff, brother. Christopher says the Super Bowl isn't guaranteed. Their record's basically a lock if they give him the opportunity. I wouldn't say that, my dude. He's still 100 yards away. He hasn't rushed for 100 yards every game. I think he's 11 for 16 in games this year, going for over 100. Surgical says Tanner looks like a starter. Pickett is soft. He's Brady without the arm. I do think Tanner looks better than Pickett. I'll say that. All right, I read that. Lord Lubu, what's up, Lord? He says, if Saquon was drafted by Philly, he would have been a first ballot Hall of Fame player. That I agree with 100%. That I agree with for sure. Brian Pumper says, I'm telling you, fellas, the tenacity of Tanner was unmatched. Looking like a young Peyton, but better. QB1 now. Holy shit, Pump. Pump again. Tanner Delphia has arrived. Pumper, you got some good slogans here. We putting foot to neck on all the Jalenites. Tanner's got the keys. Bald Eagle says he did it last week. He had like 90 in the first quarter. Maybe. Are you talking about first half? Maybe. Anthony Wilson, this fan base sees one game and turn on QB1. They're not turning on quarterback 1. Come on, Anthony. Tanner beats the Falcons, Bucks, and Deadskins. Sit Jalen for the rest of the season. Free McKee. We'll see what they end up doing. John says Jalen threw just as much this season. What's your point? Come on, John. No, he didn't. All right, good stuff, everybody. Great super chats out here today on the show. I appreciate each and every one of you for doing it. I'll send out the link, and after the break, we'll bring a couple of you guys onto the show. I'm going to keep it short and quick. All right, tonight. So I appreciate all of you guys for being here. Hit that like button. We'll be back in 3 minutes on not Birds 365 on the JAKIB postgame show here on JAKIB Sports.